Common networking utilities. TCP/IP protocol suite also consists many tools which are typically used for checking the configuration or for troubleshooting purposes. For example, ipconfig, ping, traceroute, path ping, ARP. These are some utilities we have with which is useful to check the configurations of TCP/IP protocol and our information about the IP addresses and different configurations. First, ipconfig. Now, ipconfig command is a Windows command line tool that provides the IP configuration information of your machine, and IP command options are like /all. It goes like this. Let me show you this for example. Now when we open this, we go to search and we type CMD, so it opens the command prompt. Now we have two options to open the command prompt. If you click on open, so it will open with your local current user account, and current user account might not be administrator, so sometimes you required to have a privilege. Some commands need to have a privilege of administrator, so for those kind of commands we need to run it as an administrator, so we can open it directly. So when we open directly, so it will run as a current user, and mostly current users are not administrator. So if we want to run some important commands, then we need to run sometime this CMD, this command prompt of Windows, as an administrator. So we have to select this as administrator here. It will ask for the permission, like it is a user control, account control configuration in Windows. It says yes, you want to use it. I say yes, and it opens. Otherwise, if it will open like a normal user account. Now we have ipconfig command. So ipconfig command we can give like this, and it will show us information about our configurations, about our network configurations. So it shows here that I have these interfaces. Here I have given this IP config command. It is saying Windows IP configuration. I have Ethernet adapter. This is my Ethernet adapter, but it is not connected. This is my LAN, wireless LAN, local area network. It is also not connected. Wireless LAN is also not connected here. This is my virtual LAN, and in my virtual LAN I have these IP addresses. These are virtual LAN network for the virtual machines. So it has IP addresses, IPv6 and IPv4. This is another virtual interface I have. Then this is my wireless adapter. This is my wireless adapter, and this is connected, and it is having these IP addresses. This is the IP address it has with MAC address, with a subnet mask, and this is the gateway I have. This is the IPv6 link local address I have. So ipconfig shows the IP configurations of your system in your Windows machine. Now in IP configuration command we can go with the different options like this. We have /all, we have /release, renew, flush DNS, register DNS, IP display DNS, class ID, show class ID, and set class ID. This first option is saying /all. Now /all will do what? It will display full configuration information. Full configuration information, that means when I give only IP config, it is showing only that IP address, subnet mask, and gateway. It is not showing other information about the adapter. But if I give it with all, so it will show me all the informations. Like I will say /all. With every commands of Windows or command line, we have multiple options. These are some important options we have. So all when I give, now you see it is showing me this wireless adapter. Now it is showing me a full detail information. It is saying that this is the description of the interface. This is the Qualcomm, this 802.11 AC wireless adapter, and it is also showing the MAC address. It is saying that DSCP is enabled, and DSCP auto configuration is enabled, and this is the IPv6 link local IP address I have, and this is the IPv6 IP address I have with the subnet mask. Now DHCP, when we get the IP address from DHCP, so it is not for the lifetime, it is for the lease time. So it gives it on lease, and after the lease expires, it renews the IP address from the DHCP server. Now we can see the lease option, lease time here. It is saying that lease obtained on this date and this time, and this lease will expire on this date on this time. So it is also showing the time of lease we have this IP address. Then it also shows the gateway, the server, DHCP server who is giving the IP address, DHCP version 6, ID, client ID, then DNS server's information, this DNS server IP address, and it is also saying that NetBIOS over TCP is enabled or not. So it shows you all the detailed informations. Then what we have release and renew. Now this release and renew is to refresh your reassign your DHCP IP address from DHCP. That means suppose your IP address is assigned here with the DHCP and it is dynamic. Remember, it will only work when your IP address is configured as dynamic, and dynamic means it is getting the IP address from DHCP server. So we can run this command release. Now release will do what? It will remove all the IP addresses from the DHCP which it gets from the DHCP. So it will clear all the IP addresses, and then after the release you will run renew. So renew will do what? It will re-ask for the IP address from DHCP. So release the IP address for the specified adapter. So it will release the IP address from the DHCP which is given from the DHCP by using this command. Then renew the IP address for the specified adapters. We will try to renew the IP address from the DHCP server. Now why we run this command sometime? Because when we configure our adapter by automatic, so it will automatically get the IP address from DHCP. Now sometime if suppose the DHCP server is not available at the time when our machine is asking for the for the IP address, and if it is not available that time, then what happen? Our machine will go into APIPA. It will use APIPA IP address. Now when it is using APIPA IP address, then it will not ask again to DHCP server. That means suppose the DHCP server came back, our machine takes the IP address of APIPA and it will not recheck the DHCP server. Now DHCP server is available, but our machine will not check again. In that case, what we do release the IP address. We will run this command release, so it will release that APIPA address, and then when we say renew, it will renew the IP address from DHCP. So in that case we use this release and renew. But if suppose if our IP address is already coming from DHCP server, then we don't need to release and renew. Then we have this option called flush DNS or display DNS. Now first display DNS. Now remember, DNS job is to resolve the IP addresses. Now when I say like when I connect any site, like suppose I connect google.com, when I type www.google.com in our browser, now this this address, it is actually hosted on some server. So our machine try to connect on that server by using the IP address. It cannot, it will not understand this name. So DNS server's job is to resolve the name and give our machine IP address. So when I try to connect this site, so my request will go to DNS server, and DNS server will send the response, and it will send the IP address of this URL. Now what our machine will do, our machine will cache that information. So next time when I log in or when I try to access these sites, it will not go to DNS server to get the IP address of this URL. It will get the IP address of this URL from the cache. So it will save some time. So it will save some time because it will not go to DNS server to get the IP address, because our machine caches those information. It stores the caches into DNS cache. Now sometime what happens, if suppose I try to access this server, this site, and it was not available that time, so my DNS server was giving me option, the DNS server will give me reply that it is not valid or it is not available. Now in my cache, in my local machine cache, it will be registered, it will be stored as a not valid or not available, but it is actually available now. Now suppose it is available on the internet and we can access it from the other sites, but it is not accessible here in our machine. Why? Because our machine's cache is already saying that this is not available. So whenever our machine try to access it, it will check the cache, and in the cache it says it is not available. Now for that reason, what we do, we clear the cache of our DNS. So we can use this flush DNS command to clear the DNS cache. Otherwise, when you reboot your system, it will automatically clear it. And if you don't want to reboot, then you can use this option to clear the DNS cache. And to check your DNS cache, you can use display DNS command. So for example, I will use ipconfig / display DNS, and you will see it is showing all the results of names and IP addresses. If you can see here, it is saying that this is the configuration, this is the URL, and this is the name of that URL, and this is the IP address of that URL, and so on. This is some Google also. So this is the URL, and it will update it will cache all the URLs when we access any site. Let's example we access some site now. I will try to go to facebook.com. Now I have accessed the facebook.com. Remember, it was not available in our cache, but now it is available in the cache. That means it has been recorded. Now it was not available, the cache was not there for Facebook. Now I will check again display DNS, and now the cache is having now more informations here. It is having about the Google, because I have opened the Chrome browser. It is from Google, so it is accessing this Google sites. And also what I have here, I have updated, these caches are updated with the different sites here. Santago, then we have DigiCert, that is for the certificates, again for Google, and also you will see the Facebook site which we have accessed. So the cache is now showing lots of informations. So this is the cache of our, it is Amazon News also it is showing. Okay. Office app. So now we can see it is updated with lots of cache, and somewhere there maybe there is Facebook is also there. I am not able to properly detect. So it has been updated now. Now I want to clear the cache. So what I will do, I will run ipconfig, I will say flush DNS. Now it will do what? It will clear the whole cache. Successfully flush the DNS resolver cache. Now when I say display DNS, now it is showing only those which is just right now within 2 seconds accessed. Because our machine is in background, it do access these sites, because this is what it is about, quick heal. So my antivirus is actually accessing the internet. So it is accessing the internet and it is going to these sites. So it is resolving the name. So within some second it has resolved these IP addresses, and these are all from quick heal. So actually it is from quick heal. So our Windows machine by default automatically is still accessing the sites behind the scene. So we don't know that, but it is still, it do access those sites in the behind, and that is why we saw these resolves names here. But when we flush the DNS, it will almost clear everything. Now you see it is not showing anything here. So now when I flush right now, and when I run this again, now it is saying no configuration because it has been removed. Now again when I said display DNS, now again it came back, this quick heal, because my machine is continuously trying to connect the quick heal. So this is what flush DNS and display DNS commands. Then these other commands are like register DNS. This is all DHCP lease and re-registered DNS names. Now this will do what? This command will do what? It will register the DNS name of your machine in the DNS. Now suppose what happens when you get your IP from the DHCP. So when you get your IP from the DHCP, so it may change because it is given by lease. So it may change sometime. Now your IP will be resolved by the DNS server. So in the DNS server, it must have the right record. It must have the right record. That means the DNS server must have a right record about your name and IP. That means your machine name and your IP. But if suppose DHCP server is changing your IP automatically because you have configured it for automatic, so automatic can be changed because it is giving on lease, so it can change sometime. So when it is changed, then again it has to be registered in the DNS that your IP is now changed. That means your name is this, your machine name is this, and your IP is now this. Then after some time, if it is changed again, then it will change, the name will be same, the IP will be changed. Otherwise your DNS server will it will do what? It will give some wrong reference of your name. That means if the DNS server is having the old records, then it can give a wrong IP to your name. Now for that, what happened when we configure the DNS server, we do configure in two options. We configure it automatically update, and we configure manual update also. So it is upon the configuration of the DNS server. Like if it is configured, the DNS server is configured to update the records automatically, then whenever the DHCP changes our IP address, our machine will do what? It will update the record automatically. Now if it is configured, DNS server is configured to update the record manually, then our DNS server, whenever our IP changed by the DHCP, it is not going to update. You have to change manually. That means the DNS server administrator has to change the IP address manually there. So basically DNS server, whenever they configure DNS server, they configure with the auto update. Auto update, that means whenever we change the DHCP, whenever our IP changes, it is going to register into the DNS server. Now some of the machines, some of the old Windows machines are not able to update itself. So automatically they are not able to update the record of their name and IP address into DNS server. So at that time we can do what? We can run this command, register DNS. This register DNS command will do what? It will register our machine name with the IP address in the DNS server record. So whenever we want to register, suppose we change it manually right now, and in the DNS server maybe it is old record is there. So what we can do? We can run register DNS to update our record into our DNS server. It actually happens automatically. We don't need to do this, but sometime in case if it is not doing, then we can run this register DNS to register our name with IP address in the DNS server. Then we have show class ID. This show class ID display all the DHCP class IDs allowed for adapter. Then set class ID modifies the DHCP class ID. These are for the different DHCP options. That means we can say ipconfig show class ID, and it shows all the class IDs. So for class ID you have to run ipconfig show class ID and then adapter name. Whatever the adapter name you have, you will give the adapter name here. So it will show the configuration. Now this adapter is not connected, so it is saying unable to modify this DHCP class ID adapter. The next system cannot find the file specified. It is not connected basically. This one, I think it is connected, but it is not permissible because I have connected with my mobile network, so it is not allowing me. It is like my mobile network, so it is not allowing me to change anything or show anything. So this will show the DHCP class IDs, and with set IDs we can set different class IDs of DHCP. It is for different options of DHCP we can use. So adapter is supported or not supported, if it depends on that. Then we have, this is an example of ipconfig command. Now this is ipconfig command, and this, if you are using Windows machine, if you are using Linux machine, so in Linux machine, for this purpose, to see the configurations of IP addresses, it is not ipconfig, it is ifconfig. So in Linux machines, the command works ifconfig for checking the information about the IP addresses. So in Windows it is ipconfig, in Linux it is ifconfig. The next utility is ping. Now this ping command, this ping is a command line tool used to check the connectivity between two or more devices. Ping stands for Packet Internet Gopher. This is a full of ping command, Packet Internet Gopher. And ping command options are this. Now ping command do what? We use this command to check the connectivity with the other system or other device. So we use the ping command. After the ping command we mention the IP address of that other system. So what our machine do? Our machine sends a request, ping echo packet. Echo, that means echo is a protocol. So it will send the echo packet to this destination IP address which we mentioned. So example like this, ping, and then I will say the IP address of the other system. So our machine sends the request. It will send the request of echo packet. Now by default in Windows machine it sends 4 packets. So it sends 4 packets to this IP address. Now it will go and search this IP address all over in the network. Now if suppose the IP address is there in the network, then it will get the reply, otherwise it will not get the reply. That means it will go to check all the machines in the network which has this IP. It is like saying who is having this IP address. Now if suppose the IP address is there, then it will send the reply, and we will get like this. We will see like reply from this IP address, and this is the byte size, the packet size, and this is the time it takes, and this is the time to leave option. So it will get the reply when you send the echo packets. Now if it is not there, if suppose this IP address is not there, then you will get no reply. We will get two type of errors. We can get destination host unreachable, or we can get directly timeout. So either we get timeout or we get destination host unreachable. So timeout, when we get we get timeout when our machine sends the request and there is no reply, and after waiting for some certain time, it will say that there is no reply and our time is out. And destination host unreachable error comes when there is a router there and it is sending the error that this IP is not reachable. So it will say that there is destination host unreachable. That means the router is saying that the destination host unreachable. In Windows machine itself says that I can't reach this IP address. So you can also get directly destination host unreachable error instead of getting timeout. But if the machine is there, then you will get the reply from that machine. Now the reply comes, that means the machine is there and our machine is connected to that network, to that machine. So we'll see this statistics. It says that 4 packets sent and 4 received. Now 4 received, that means we get 4 replies and there is no lost. And that means what? We are connected to this, our machine is connected to this IP and the device which is having this IP address. And if we are not connected, so we will get lost, our packets get lost and we will see 4 sent and 4 lost, no receive, lost all 4. So we will say that this is not the we are not connected with that. And then it will say, it will show you the time it takes to get the reply. So it is like this. I give ping and then I will mention the IP address of the system. Now my machine is sending 4 packets and I'm getting what? Timeout, because I'm not connected to that IP address. Even IP, we can give the URL also. If suppose we don't know the name, we don't know the IP address, so we can use the name of that other machine also. For example, I will try www.facebook.com. Now I know the IP address, I don't know the IP address, but I know the name. So our DNS server will resolve the name for us, and it will resolve the name and it gives me the IP address. So first DNS server gives me the IP address and it says this is the IP address of that machine or that URL, and then my machine sends the echo request and you can see I'm getting the reply here. Now I'm getting the reply, that means I'm connected to that system, and that is why we are seeing that site. And then what we are seeing here, 4 packets are sent and received 4 packets, there is no lost, and it has taken this time to get the reply. And this is what? Ping request and reply, and that means we are connected to that system. Now under the ping we also have many options. With every command we have multiple options to solve to do additional features, to get the additional things. So with ping also we have the additional options. Now what options we have here? So we can use -t. Now -t will do what? It will do ping the specified host until we stopped. By default in Windows it pings only 4 packets, it sends only 4 packets and then it will stop. Now if you want to do continuously, if you want to send continuously packets, then you can use T option. So it will do what? It will start sending the packets continuously until we stop this. So now it is not sending only 4 packets, it is keep sending the packets and getting the reply. This thing we do, sometime we want to check that connection is constant or not. Sometime connection is not constant, that means it is coming and going. So in that case, when you do ping one time, it will be successful. When you do ping next time, it will not successful sometime. So you can use continuously ping to check that whether it is successful every time or not. So if some packets are not coming, it is dropping or timeout coming, that means we are having a problem of network disconnectivity or not connected properly or reliability problem. Now it will not stop until we stop this. So if we want to stop it, when we will press Ctrl C and then it will stop. Then we have option A. A will do what? It will resolve the address to host name. That means if suppose we have a IP address. Now remember, when we have a name, so it will do what? Our query will go to DNS server and it will get the IP address. Now if I give directly IP address, now suppose I will try to ping directly the IP address here. I will not give the name, I will directly try to ping the IP address here. So my query will not go to DNS server, it will start pinging directly. It is not resolving the name, it is directly pinging it. But I want to name of this, I want to know the name of this IP address. So sometime we are doing some troubleshooting and we get some IP address, but we don't know what is the name of this IP address. That means what is the name of that machine which is using this IP address. Because we can't remember the names, IP addresses, so we use the DNS server to know the names. Now DNS server give me the name only when I give the when we give the name, then it will give me IP address. It is DNS server do it from the forward lookup, in the forward lookup zone. Now when we want to know the name of the IP address, that means we will send the IP address, and the machine will give, the DNS server will give the name of that IP address. That will do by the DNS server will do that by using the reverse lookup zone. Now when we use ping, it will not do that. But if I want to know the name of this IP address, then I will use -a option. What it will do here, I will use -a option here. Now it will do what? It will try to resolve the name for this IP address, and it has resolved now, and you can see it is showing me the name of that IP also, and then it is trying to ping it. So it will do what? It will actually do the reverse lookup. If you give directly IP, it will not try to resolve anything, but when you use -a option, then it will go first to DNS server and ask the DNS server that what is the name of this IP address, and then it will ping that IP address, and it shows here the name of that IP address. So this A option do what? It resolve the address to host name. Then we have N option, and count this number of echo requests to send. By default our Windows machine sends only 4 packets, but if suppose I want to send some specific packets, like I want to send more than 4 or less than 4, then I can use this N option. -N, I want to ping only 2 packets. So it will send only 2, and you can see we get 2 replies. That means 2 sends and 2 receipts. Then we have size option. L option for size, for sending buffer size. Every time when we send the packet to ping, it is 32 byte packet. The packet size will be 32 byte. Now if we want to send more or less size, then we can use -L option, and then we can mention the size, like I want to send the packet size of 60,000, and you can see here it is now trying to ping with the size of 60,000. Then we have option F. This F option set don't fragment flag in packet. Now fragment, remember in OSI layer, transport layer, the packets will be fragmented into different sizes or different size of packets. Now if we want to do here for the ping request, then we can use this F option. Now it will do what? Actually it will not it will do what? It sets don't fragment flag in the packet. So it is not going to fragment the packets. So when we use F, now we will not able to see the changes unless, because it happens in the background. So unless we sniff the packet, we will not able to see the change what we did, what happened when we use this F option. It will not allow the packet to be fragmented. So this is what the ping command we have. Then next we have traceat. Traceat is actually called trace route. In all the other devices, all the other operating systems, it uses trace route. The command is trace route, but in Windows it is called traceat. In Windows it is called traceat. Traceat command is used to find the hop count, that is the list of all routers from source to destination. Traceat command options are D, H and W. So what it do here, when we use this command with some URL or some IP address, so it will do what? It will send the echo packets. Again it will send the echo packet to get the hops. Get the hops, that means the routers which is coming from our machine to this destination machine. And it will try maximum 30 hops by default. by default it will go for maximum 30 hops. All the destinations may come under the 30 hops, but if suppose it does not reach the hops till 30, then we can increase the hops also. Now hops means the routers. That means hops means basically jump. So when our packet jumps from one router to other router, so it is called hops. So it will check that how many hops are there in between our machine and the destination machine, or we can say how many routers are there between our machine and the destination machine. So for checking that, we can use the traceset command, or we can say trace route command. It will check the route from our source to destination. So what it shows here, it shows these host routes here. First router, second router, third router, fourth router, this. So how it detects this? How this trace route works? Now remember, whenever we ping any machine, so our machine sends the echo request, and it sends what? With the TTL value. Now TTL value means what? It is the time to leave value. Time to leave value, that means how much hops it can cross. That means this packet can cross how much routers. If this value goes 0, then the packet will not go forward and it will be dropped. So your packet will not go ahead if the TTL value is this, if the TTL value becomes 0. Now how it will become 0? Okay, for example, this is our machine here, and this is the destination machine here. Now these are routers which is coming in between our machine and the destination machine. So this machine is connected to this router, this machine is connected to this router, and these routers are also connected. Now what happened, whenever we send any packet from our machine to destination machine, it always has a TTL value. Now for example, the TTL value is 3 here. Now what, when our packet hops one time to the next router, so what this next router do, it will minus 1 from this 3. It will minus 1 from this 3 before hopping into the next router. Now when it hops to the next router, so this router will minus 1 from it. So here it becomes 2. Now it will minus 1 from here, and here it will become what? 1, and then it will hop to the next router. Now here it will become it will minus 1 from here. Now when it removes 1 from 1, it will become 0. Now it is not able to go to any other router. Because there is no router ahead, it is directly going to this machine, it will go. But if suppose it is going to other router, like if it is the destination is connected to other router and it has to go to other router, like for example I will this. So for example, our machine is connected to this router. Now what happened here? Because the TTL value is 0 here, now this packet will not be able to go to the next router, and the packet will be dropped by this router. It will drop the packet. It will not allow the packet to go to the next router. So this TTL value defines that how much router this packet can cross. So when the TTL value goes 0, it will drop the packet. The routers will drop the packet, and these routers will send back the error to the source saying that the data is not able to reach the destination because TTL value is expired. Now when we use traceroute command here, or traceset command, to check the destination path, so what it do here, it will send one packet first. It send one packet, and it will set the TTL value as 1. Now when this packet reaches the first router, this TTL value becomes 0, and this router sends back the error that I cannot forward the packet because TTL value is 0. And with the error, it will tell the information about the router also. So what our machine do? Our machine says I got 1 hop. This is the first hop I got. Then our machine do what? Our machine send one more packet with the TTL value set to 2. Now it will cross the first router, it will become 1. Because the first router we have already known. Then what? When it reaches the second router, this 1 value again becomes 0. Now this router will send back the error that's saying I will not able to forward the packet because TTL value is 0. Now in the error, it has the router's information. So here again our machine noticed that okay, I found one more router here with this IP address. Then next time our machine sends the packet with TTL value set to 3. So it will cross the first router, becomes 2, then second router it becomes 2, then third router it becomes 1. But when it reaches the third router, it becomes 0, and this router will send back the error saying I cannot forward the packet. And with the help of error, our machine noticed that this is the third router I found, and by doing this it will get the all routers information from source to destination. So this is how the traceroute command works, and in Windows it is called traceset. So by increasing TTL value 1 by 1, it will try to point that how many routers are there in between the source and destination. So how it works in Windows, it is called traceset, and then you will mention the destination IP or name which you want to check, and then it will see what it do. So by default it sends 30 hops. It checks the 30 hops. Now see it is trying to get the first hop. Now this, when we see these stars, that means it is not passing the router. That means it is not able to pass the router. Now this happens when sometime our machine is not supporting, or there is a firewall which is not allowing it. So you can see that these packets are dropped. Now when it is going ahead, now it is getting the other routers. That means it is okay. There is no firewall which is blocking it. There is a problem with the device. Suppose there is a machine which is configured and that machine is not able to reply it, or sometime the packet may drop. But when it is going continuously, that means there is no firewall which is blocking it. And you can see it is founding these routers. It reaches up to 9 hops, and then at the 10th hop it reaches the destination IP or destination machine, and the trace route is completed. It reaches between 10 hops, but it can go up to maximum 30 by default. And we can change these options also, like -D. This will say do not resolve the address to hostname. As you can see here, it is trying to resolve the name here with the IP address. By doing this, sometime it will take some more time. So if you want to do quickly, then you should ignore the names. You just want to get the IP addresses. So it will not try to resolve the name. It will directly show you the IP address, and it will go and do the trace route. And it will do sometime quickly. So with D option, it will not try to resolve it. Then by default it goes for 30 hops. Now if you want to go more than 30 hop or less than 30 hop, then we can use -H option. It is not required because always all the hops will all the destination we will reach under the 30 hops. But in case if you are not able to reach the destination within 30 hops and you want to increase the hops, then we can use -H option. And now here you can see it is not resolving the names, it is directly showing the IP addresses. Previously it was resolving the name also. Then hyphen W option will for it is for timeout. Wait timeout milliseconds for each reply. Remember, it sends the echo request and wait for the reply. And if it is not get that the reply within that time, it says timeout. That is what we are seeing here. So we can increase or decrease the timeout time by using hyphen W option. So this is the traceset command. Actual name of the traceset command is traceroute. So in other versions, in other operating system, it is called traceroute. In Windows, it is called traceset. Then we have path ping. Path ping is a network utility supplied in Windows NT and beyond that combines that functionality of ping with that of traceset. Path ping command options are the same as the traceset command. N to do not resolve the name, H to increase the hops or decrease the hop, and W to change the timeout. Because this path ping do the same job that like we do the traceroute do. So it is actually combination of ping and traceset. So instead of traceset, we can use path ping. Now this is what path ping. I try to ping this. Now it is giving me error. Why it is giving me error? Because remember, when we did the traceroute also, when we did the traceset also, it was not giving the reply for 2 hops. 2 hops what was timeouting, those giving us a timeout. So it is not going beyond that. Path ping is not able to go beyond that because it is trying to ping it. And if it is not pinging, it is not getting the reply, it is stopped here. It says I cannot go there, this is completed. So basically we use traceset. Traceset will pass that when it sees the timeout, it actually passes the timeout and try to go for the next hop. But path ping don't go to next hop until it pings until it gets the reply from the ping, because it is using ping for path. To get the path, it is using the ping command. These options are same with the path ping command also. Then we have ARP command. Now ARP command, it is the Windows command, displays the ARP table and can delete entries or add static entries. ARP command options are A and D. Now this command is to check the cache of ARP. Remember, ARP is to check, ARP protocol is to get the MAC address of the IP address. When we want to send any data to any other machine, so we give the IP address. For example, suppose I ping some machine. So what I do here, I give the IP address of that machine, but I don't mention the MAC address. So what happened, the ping request, when ping request try to go out of your system, it will go to the data link layer, and in the data link layer, it has to add the destination MAC address in the packet before encapsulating the packet. So source MAC address our machine knows because it is its own MAC address, but the destination MAC address it does not know, and we have not mentioned the destination MAC address also. So what it do? It runs this ARP protocol, it sends the ARP request all over in the network to get the IP address of the MAC address of that IP. So it is actually says that who is having this IP, who's having this IP in within all the network. And that machine has an IP address, it will reply with its own MAC address. And what our machine do, our machine caches those information. So if we want to see the cache of our machine, we can run this A option. A option to display the current ARP entries by interrogating the current protocol data. If the internet address is specified, the IP and physical addresses for only the specified computer are displayed. If more than one network interfaces uses ARP, entries for each ARP table are displayed. So if you have more than one interface, so it will show you more than one tables also for each interface. Then D option is to delete the host specified by internet address, and internet address may be a wildcard with the star to delete all host. So it caches all the informations, all the addresses, And if we want to remove those addresses, then we can use D. So to check the ARP cache, we run the command ARP-A, and you can see it is showing these for every interface. For this interface, and also for this interface. So if I want to remove these entries, then I can use -D option. Now remember, nowadays in Windows we have static entries. These entries will not remove. We can remove only dynamic entries, which is automatically readed. That means these entries have generated automatically. So we can only remove these entries. For deleting all, we can put star and it will remove all. And now you see there is only static entries are remaining and dynamic entries are gone. And again it has getted this dynamic entries because our machine is running by default, it is running behind the scene, it is running and getting all these in trying to connect the system, the internet every time. So this is the default router's address and MAC address. So it is automatically, it is very quickly it is getting the address again and again. So this is what ARP. So this is the ARP utility, and this is also we can use to configure the static MAC static entries also. That is what we see, which is already there. There are many utilities we have for configuring or see the configuration of networking, but these are some most common and mostly used utilities we have, that is ipconfig, ping, tracer, path ping or ARP.